I want to talk for a few minutes about the enthalpy of formation because it's a definition we need to make sure we're familiar with and comfortable with. And the enthalpy of formation is defined as the enthalpy change for forming 1 mole of a substance from the elements that compose it, that it is composed of in their standard states. What do we mean by the standard states? Well, the standard state is generally defined as the most stable form of a substance at 298 degrees Kelvin, 1 atmosphere, and if we're dealing with solutions at 1 molar concentration. Also, it's important to recognize the definition that the heat of formation, delta H, or I should say the enthalpy of formation of an element in its standard state, and there's a spelling error here, in its standard state, the enthalpy of formation of an element in its standard state is defined as 0. We can use that for a number of things we'll see in future problems, but I want to point out to you it's very important that we make sure when we're defining something as having an enthalpy of formation of 0 that we are referring to an element in its standard state. So for instance, for solid iron, the enthalpy of formation is 0. However, if we look at iron in the gaseous state, the enthalpy of formation is not 0. The gaseous state is not the most stable form of iron under standard conditions. Likewise, if we look at carbon in the graphite form, the delta H of formation is 0. The enthalpy of formation is 0 because that is the most stable form of carbon under standard conditions. Unfortunately, that's not the case for carbon in the diamond form. It's not the most stable form of carbon under standard conditions, so the enthalpy of formation of diamond is not 0. Just one other example for CO2, the enthalpy of formation is not 0 for CO2, and I should have this listed here as the state, which is a gas. So the enthalpy of formation of CO2 gas is not 0. Now, it's true the most stable form of CO2 gas under standard conditions is the gas, but this is not an element, so it's not 0.